number of items in that bag.
That's correct.
And during that break, did we have a chance to look inside the bag,
Yes.
accompanied by counsel for the defense?
Yes.
When items are stored in a bag, is it common for them to be transferred to other locations other than your evidence locker?
I'm sorry, can you rephrase that information?
When
that
you
question?
store a piece of evidence in an evidence bag and you put it in the evidence locker for safekeeping, does the evidence sometimes travel to other places?
Yes.
If it's tested for other types of information, maybe DNA or biological fluids, can that item be transferred to another department?
Yes.
Is sometimes that item brought back and forth to court for other proceedings?
Yes.
And do you know if this item has been on different travels over time?
I do know that it went into several different units within the laboratory, yes.
When you opened up the bag and you said the housing was in that bag, the other items that were in the bag, do you know when they were put in there?
No, I do not.
Do they appear to be pieces that are consistent with the taillight housing?
I can't testify to whether or not they're consistent.
Okay. When you saw the pieces, do you know whether or not any of the pieces broke off that taillight housing?
I do not know.
The taillight housing, did it have any loose pieces when you first retrieved it from the Canton Police Department?
No, it did not. It had missing pieces, but nothing was loose on the taillight housing itself at the time that I collected it.
And the loose pieces on the bottom of that bag, they were in the bag when you opened it this morning?
Yes, that's correct.
The loose pieces, last time you had an opportunity to open that bag was how long ago?
The only time I opened that, the packaging for the taillight housing was in the laboratory when I first examined it in 2023.
And do you have any indication this has passed many hands or hands since then?
I do know that that item went to the trace unit after I examined it.
Those loose pieces in the bottom of the bag, I'm going to ask you to keep them with the taillight housing.
Okay.
And I'm going to move that piece of evidence. Evidence, I may have one moment.
Okay.
Okay. One last question. When a bag is opened by somebody who's examining it, if there are small loose pieces accompanying the item, is it ever packaged in separate baggies or containers?
In the criminalistics unit, so I can only speak for myself and my individual examination, if there are loose items within the item that's packaged with it, I would separate it and potentially separate into a smaller package and put it inside the larger container so that it doesn't get lost.
In addition to the loose pieces in the bottom of that bag, do you see separate small containers, packaging of smaller pieces?
Yes, there were 2 smaller containers within that larger bag.
And those smaller packages that are separate from the actual larger item, did you put smaller pieces in those small bags?
I did not do that.
It's done by somebody other than you.
At some point, yes.
Okay. I now move to introduce that into evidence.
No objection, subject to the explanation and cross-examination, Your Honor.
Okay.
Could you present that?
Yes.
Yes.
I didn't mean to explain it. Just provide some approximate mark.
The whole bag.
Yes. And you can keep the gloves on. I just want to be able to show the small.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I'll just get in here.
After it's marked.
Sure.
Exhibit 146.
You've already showed us the housing. Can you show us some of the small pieces in the bottom of the bag and also the small separate packaging that you did not package?
Yes.
Thank you. Could you explain what those are?
These are two small glassine envelopes that were in the container.
Any markings on those envelopes?
Yes. Would you like me to read them?
Please.
Some of it is illegible to me. I didn't write it. I'm sorry. It appears to be at least the second half of the case number. It's possible that's the 2202184. 3-1 pieces E, G, I'm not sure if it's an M or an H, I, S, K. This also has a case number 22-02184. 3-1, assorted small pieces.
Thank you. And was there any pieces that weren't packaged other than the housing in that bag?
Yes.
And could you show us, please?
This item was also located in the bag. And these two items were also located in the bag.
Thank you very much. May I approach?
Yes.
I'll take that.
Thank you.
When you brought the taillight housing back to the lab, did you take it out of the bag and do anything with it?
Yes, during my examination, I did remove it from the bag to look at it.
After you looked at it or during your observations, did you take any samples from it?
Yes, I did.
Explain to us what you did.
I took a polyester swab, I moistened it with sterile water, and then I applied that swab to the external front areas of the taillight.
Why did you do that?
My goal was to collect any potential biological material that was present on the exterior of the taillight.
Did you engage in that procedure pursuant to your training and experience?
Yes, I did.
If we could have former P-187 back on the screen, which is now an exhibit. Could you use the pointer and the television to your right? Could you show us or show the jury where you took a swab, what areas?
Yes.
Thank you.
So I took my collection from this upper right-hand corner, the red apparent plastic, as well from this area down here, another piece of red plastic, and then these clear apparent plastic here on the front of the taillight housing. Basically, any areas that would have been exposed when the taillight was intact.
Why do you take the swab and go to multiple different parts of an item?
The goal of this collection was just to determine if there's any biological material in that area, and there's no forensic relevance related to if it came from the upper right or the lower left. I took that collection as a whole, and in addition, there was a very small surface area to begin with.
When you took the swab, did you run it along the breaks in the red part?
Like the edges here?
Yes, the edges.
It's possible, yes, that I collected from those edges.
Do you have a memory of what part you actually swabbed?
I remember swabbing the external areas of the taillight, those that would have been on the outside prior to any damage being done.
Okay, thank you. You can take that down, please. After you engage in the procedure of taking a swab, what do you do to preserve that swab?
That swab is air dried. It's then repackaged in a small glassine envelope. A portion of the swab is also put in a clear plastic tube, which is sent forward to the DNA unit.
Did you do that?
Yes, I did.
Why do you go through that type of procedure? Why do you take that many steps?
I'm sorry, may I correct my answer
Please.
from the last question?
Please.
My apologies. So in this particular instance, the entire swab was cut up and put into plastic tubes for further testing.
Why did you do it that way?
This item was quantity limited. The swab itself was quantity limited, meaning that they'd have to use up the whole swab in order to run DNA analysis.
Did you do DNA analysis on the swab?
No, I did not.
Why not?
I don't work in the DNA unit, so that is the job of a different analyst.
And at some point, did you take that item that had been preserved and put it into evidence?
Yes, I did.
Were you shown a bag full of red plastic cups with an item in it when you were at the Canton Police Department?
Yes, I was.
Could we have Exhibit 56, please? Thank you. This is a photograph that's been marked as an exhibit. Do you recognize what's in that exhibit?
Yes, I do.
And what is it?
Those are 6 red plastic cups that contained frozen red-brown stains.
Did you do anything relative to the content of those cups?
I took a collection from one of the cups using 2 sterile cotton swabs.
Can you just briefly explain what that process entails?
Yes. I allowed the frozen red-brown stains to thaw. I applied sterile water to 2 cotton swabs, and then I applied it to one of the red-brown stained cups to collect the material from inside.
How do you preserve and maintain the integrity of whatever sample you collect?
That sample is then entered into a glassine envelope, a larger manila envelope. It is then sealed with my initials and date. It is given an independent item number and stored within the proper unit within the lab.
You take that down. Thank you. At some point, did you look at clothing?
Yes, I did.
Where did you look at clothing?
I examined the clothing from this case at the Massachusetts State Police Crime Laboratory.
Was the items brought to the crime laboratory?
Yes, they were.
Did you have a chance to unpackage them?
Yes, I did.
When you received them, how were they stored?
They were stored in brown paper bags and potentially boxes. I don't remember off the top of my head.
And did you look at a number of different items of clothing?
Yes, I did.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
I'm going to show you a series of 4 photographs. I'm going to ask you about each one of them individually. Do you recognize the first photograph?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
This is a photograph I took of a gray sweatshirt.
Does that photograph accurately depict the sweatshirt as it appeared to you when you looked at it?
Yes, it does.
Can you look at the second photograph, please? Do you recognize what's in that photograph?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
This is an additional photograph of the front of the gray sweatshirt where I had put some markings on the sweatshirt.
Why did you put markings on the sweatshirt?
These markings specifically are noting areas of damage.
Third photograph, please. Do you recognize what's in that photograph?
Yes, I do.
And what's in that photograph?
This is a close-up photo of the area of damage that I denoted as 1.
And a fourth photograph, please. Do you recognize that photograph?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
This is a close-up of area damage 1.
Is that a fair and accurate depiction of what you saw that day when you examined this particular item?
Yes.
Can I move these 4 photographs into evidence?
I could just see them quickly. No objection, Your Honor.
So let's mark them one exhibit A, B, C, D, please.
Exhibit 147, A, B, C, and D.
Thank you. With the court's permission, could we please show former P-190 to the jury?
Yes.
Is that one of the photographs you just recognized?
Yes, it is.
And could you explain to us what you see?
This is the exterior front of the gray sweatshirt. There is linear damage between the top and bottom of the sweatshirt, as well as linear damage across each sleeve of the sweatshirt.
Do you see the cut down the front of that sweatshirt?
Yes.
Did you distinguish that cut as any different than the damage on the arm?
I did not do any damage analysis on that particular area of damage.
Why not?
Typically in these type of events, you'll see those types of damage associated with clothing being removed from emergency medical technicians, so they're not forensically relevant.
Thank you. If we could turn now to former P-194. Is this the same sweatshirt?
Yes, it is.
There's a little bit difference. Is markings or tabs on it?
Yes, that's correct.
What are you doing there?
I put tabs on each of the areas of damage on the sleeve and 2 on the chest that I was going to examine further.
When you put the tabs on, do you write a report or mark it in any way to memorialize it in case the tabs fall off?
Yes, in this case, they were marked tabs 1 through 9. Those are not permanent on the sweatshirt. They're actually just pieces of filter paper that I used to mark it.
Could we, Ms. Gilman, zoom in on that right arm, please? Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. What is written on those tabs?
Each tab has a number on it that corresponds with an area of damage that I examined.
And when you write a report, when you memorialize it, is that keep an accounting of each?
Yes, that's correct.
If we could turn now to former P-196, which is 147C. What does that depict, ma'am?
That is a close-up of the area of damage 1 that I did further examination on.
Could we zoom in a little bit on the circle part? Is that a fair and accurate depiction of what it looked like when you examined it?
Yes, it is.
And finally, if we could have P-197, which is Exhibit 147D. What are you doing there?
That's a close-up photo of that same area of damage 1 with a scale included.
We just saw a close-up of one of the holes that was marked number 1. Did you do the same analysis for each and every one of those areas that you marked?
Yes, I did.
And did you look close up at each and every one of them and measure each and every one of them?
Yes, I did.
Are there photographs showing all of those different angles for each and every hole that you went through?
Yes, I took numerous photographs of each area of damage.
You could take that down, please. In addition to that sweatshirt, did you look at any other clothing items?
Yes, I did.
Court's permission, can I approach?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm showing you 2 photographs. If you could look at the first one, do you recognize what's in that photograph?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
This is item 7-17. It's an orange T-shirt.
Is it a fair? Should I write? Thank you. Is that a fair and accurate depiction of the T-shirt when you examined it?
Yes, it is.
And the second photograph, please, could you take a look?
Yes.
Do you recognize what's in that?
Yes, I do.
And what is it?
This is the other side of the orange T-shirt.
Is that a fair and accurate depiction of the T-shirt when you examined it?
Yes, it is.
All right, I'll move these 2 photographs into evidence, please.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Exhibits 148A and B.
With the court's permission, I'd like to show P-232 to the jury.
Okay.
Could you tell us what you see?
That is a photograph of item 7-17. Is the back of the orange T-shirt.
Could we zoom a little in on the numbers on the bottom, Ms. Gilman? What's that on the bottom?
That is the case number, the individual item number for that T-shirt, my initials, and the date that I examined it, or the date that I took the photo.
So you had obtained this item on that date, or this is when you examined it and already had it?
That is the date that I opened it up, examined it, and took the photo.
And on the left, what's that ruler used for?
That's a scale just to show the size of the item.
Could we zoom back out and get a full look at that? Thank you. If you could turn next to P233, Ms. Gilman. What is that, a photograph of?
That is a photograph of the front of the orange T-shirt, item 7-17.
Ms. Gilman, can we first see the bottom left-hand corner, zoomed in a little bit? Thank you. Why did you place a marker there?
I used markers on this item to note areas of staining that I was going to do further analysis on.
Did you do further analysis of that stain area?
Yes, I did.
And how did you do that? Any different than the swab you talked about before?
This I screened for blood, and I'd have to check my notes for any further testing I did on it.
When you screened it for blood, was it a positive or negative result?
That was positive.
Do you know if you did anything further with it?
May I check my notes?
With the
Yes.
court's permission? Thank you.
Can you turn the lights up, please? Thank you.
Please.
Yes, I also performed a confirmatory test for blood on that stain.
So what's the difference between a preliminary and a confirmatory test?
A screening test, other types of materials may cause a positive reaction. For the confirmatory test, it is confirmatory for blood, as well as it indicates human blood, although you might get a positive reaction from primate blood or ferret blood.
Can we now turn to the top right and zoom in, if you would? We see 3 tabs there. What are you looking for in those areas?
Those are 3 additional red-brown stains that I performed further testing on.
And do you have the results of that testing?
So I performed a screening test on each of those tests, and each of those screening tests was positive. I performed a confirmatory test on stains A and C, which were also positive. I did not perform that test on stain B due to its small size.
If you could zoom out just a little bit, please. Similar to the sweatshirt, there's long cuts through the front of that T-shirt. Is your analysis and opinion any different than the similar cuts that you saw on the sweatshirt?
Yes, I did not perform any additional analysis on those area of damage due to the fact that they're most likely attributed to the emergency medical technicians or medical personnel removing that item of clothing.
Thank you. You could take that down, please, Ms. Gilman. And for the final piece of clothing, did you have a chance to look at pants?
I did look at a pair of jeans, yes.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
I handed you 2 photographs. The first one, do you recognize it?
Yes, I do.
And what is it?
This is a photograph of the front of the pair of jeans, item 7-1.
Could you look at the second photograph, please? Do you recognize what's in that?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
This is a photograph of the back of the pair of jeans, item 7-1.
Do both of those photographs fairly depict what you saw when you examined the clothing?
Yes, they do.
I'd move these 2 into evidence, please.
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay.
Thank you.
Exhibits 149A and B.
With the court's permission, I'd show P242, which is 149A, to the jury.
Okay.
Was there anything of note when you examined these pants?
These pants also had linear damage between the top and the bottom, which would be consistent with cuts made by emergency medical personnel when removing the item.
If we could zoom in to show those cuts, Ms. Gilman. And could we scroll down, please? Thank you. If we could next show P243, which is 149B. Could you zoom in on the top part of those pants, please? Do you make any observations or notes about the pants?
May I look at my notes, please?
With the court's permission, please. Thank you.
I noted numerous red-brown stains on the clothing, as well as dirt and debris on the clothing.
What part of the pants did you note the dirt and debris?
It was just a general observation. I didn't specifically denote where it was.
Ms. Gilman, could you scroll from the top to the bottom of the pants, please? Thank you. You can take that down, please. Did you perform any additional testing relative to the clothing that you examined, that being the sweatshirt, the T-shirt, and the pants?
I performed numerous tests on each of the red-brown stains on the items that I marked.
After you completed examining the red and brown stains, did you do any other type of testing or evidence collection relative to the clothing?
Yes, I did.
Could you share with the jury what you did as far as further evidence collection relative to the clothing?
Can we take it item by item? How would you
sure
prefer
can.
to do it?
Let's start with the sweatshirt.
Okay. So in addition to testing the red-brown stains, I collected any stain that was positive or confirmatory for blood. After performing that collection, I also performed a collection around the tears on the right sleeve of the item. That's using 2 cotton swabs moistened with sterile water, which I vigorously rubbed around the areas of the teared areas on the sleeve. I also performed an additional scraping and swabbing of the unstained area of the sweatshirt for any potential skin cell recovery. In addition, I performed a debris collection from the sweatshirt.
I want to stop you there. I want you to explain to us in some detail what is a debris collection and how do you undergo a debris collection?
After I've completed all the testing that I'm going to do on the item, I remove any large items that may be present on the item, such as apparent hairs or fibers, anything that I can pick off I can visibly see with a pair of tweezers. Once that is done, I will do I did a general debris collection where I took a large metal spatula-shaped object and scraped the clothing, or in this particular case, the sweatshirt. And any debris that came off the sweatshirt was put into a glassine fold and preserved.
Before you tried to scrape off any debris that was on the sweatshirt, could you, to your own eye, see any debris in the sweatshirt?
May I check my notes?
Yes.
In this particular case, I did pick off a couple of pieces of what I termed black debris. I made no additional analysis of that item. I packaged that separately, and then the scrapings themselves, I did not make any observations of anything contained in those scrapings. So there was nothing of note that I could have put in my notes to further classify them.
When you do the scraping, is there a table or a desk that you would see small pieces or difficult pieces? How do you contain what you're scraping from an item?
I lay out a piece of glassine paper, which is approximately 6 inches by 6 inches, and I scrape the debris into that glassine, and then I fold it up and put it in an additional envelope to prevent anything from falling out.
So if there's any debris, you would fold it in the glassine and then put that in a separate envelope?
Yes, that's correct.
And did you continue to study and scrape the other pieces of clothing?
Yes, I performed that same type of scraping on the orange T-shirt. That scraping was combined with the scrapings from the sweatshirt. I performed the same scraping on the jeans as well as the boxer shorts.
In that scraping process, did you acquire debris?
Yes, there was some visible debris.
How small were the pieces?
I did not make any measurements of it.
Why not?
That's done by a different analysis unit, so I didn't do any type of analysis on that debris.
How small or large were the pieces of debris that you scraped from the clothing?
I did not take any measurements of them.
How did you store the debris that you scraped from the clothing?
It was put into a glassine fold, given a separate item number, and then put into a larger glassine fold so that it could be tracked throughout the laboratory.
Do you have that item number?
Yes, I do. So the debris from the sweatshirt and T-shirt was item 7-18.18.
I'm going to ask you one more time for that number.
7-18.18.
And that's the debris that you scraped from the shirt and the sweatshirt.
Correct.
Did you do any debris scrapings from the pants?
Yes, I did.
Was any debris produced from the pants?
Yes.
Was it similarly packaged?
Yes, that's correct.
Was there a different item number given for the pants?
Yes.
And what was that item number?
May I check my notes?
Yes.
Thank you. That item number, the debris from the jeans, was 7-1.8.